Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Kingdom Hearts 2 Critical Difficulty video walkthrough. This is the hardest part of the campaign. And of course I'm not talking about slaying the shadows, I'm talking about the fight that they added to this version, which is the fight against Roxas. So Roxas was the encounter that I learnt the most when I was recording this. It learned? I always confuse learned and learnt. It's one of those things when you talk and when you write, they're of course two different things. And sometimes when you try and write something the way you say it, it can be very confusing. But Roxas was a fine teacher for a lot of features of this game that I wasn't too sure about, and the biggest of these was the revenge value. And this is something that I've mentioned quite a lot in this walkthrough, to try and warn you against doing too much damage too quickly and understanding the threshold when the computer will retaliate. I don't know enough about this, and I couldn't find enough information to give you any kind of detailed statistics for it, other than, you know, watch the speedrunners that have the world records for these games because they know it offhand. And when I'm making a project like this, I tend to try and avoid any other media that's related with it. Unless it's DSP, and then I drink it in like a glutton because I find it fucking hilarious. But the revenge value against Roxas can be exploited in such a way that you can loop him. And I'm going to get a pretty interesting pattern against him, but it's not going to be the loop that you can do, because I wasn't aware of it at the time. And the problem in this fight is if you do too much damage too quickly, he'll do his desperation attack, which is a very long-winded animation. And the best case scenario, if you can manipulate his AI by only attacking him a certain way and counter-attacking him, you can get it so that he never uses the desperation attack. And the hardest part of this fight, once you understand what he does, what his actions look like, when you can block, when you can reflect, is the desperation move, just because it's very long and it's easy to make a mistake and get tagged by it. And then it introduces us once again to one of the worst features of the Kingdom Hearts series, which is the general floatiness of actions when you get knocked into the air. And if you use the aerial recover, you will then get stun locked. If you don't use the aerial recover, sometimes you'll try and mash a roll out and you'll end up doing like a fucking reversal move. So I would advise you to turn off all of those weird air recovery moves, land recovery moves, knockback recovery moves, because in a fight such as this, it's going to get you killed, and you don't live long enough to not die anyway, so it's pretty damn rough. But it's going to be a fast fight because he's very aggressive, and the reason I think it's the hardest part of the game, and the hardest part of this walkthrough, is because it's so much more punishing than anything else in it. Like, this guy is like the last boss, and the last boss is the only dude that really puts that kind of pressure on you, and Roxas does as well. And it's one of those things where you can tell it was made after and then put in, because it's so out of tempo with everything else. And here it is. It's got great music though, so at the very beginning he's going to dash at you. You want to reflect. Reflect, do some quick damage, and then hit him with a basic combo. I choose to do just a standard ground combo. I'm using the Final Fantasy VIII Keyblade, the Lionheart I think it's called, or something like that. I'm using it because it gives you a good boost in both magic and attack. And I think the reason I chose this over Decisive Pumpkin is because it did more reflect damage, and I found during this fight I was doing more reflects than I was actually hitting the boss. You can see that he's already done his desperation move, which tells you immediately that I've done too much damage to him. But as his life gets lower, he starts getting faster and he starts sending out all these crazy beams of light, and that's when shit gets really confusing. And you're going to see me heal a little bit, just because shit really hurts. Like, 2 touches and I'm dead from this guy pretty much. So you can imagine when well, I say 2 touches. If I get hit by those lines, then I'm okay. It's just if he hits me after those lines and they do stun you for a couple seconds, then it can get real bad. Like just then. That was very close to me getting absolutely shit-fisted. But luckily enough, use your reflect, it's the most overpowered thing on the game. Learn his pattern, chuck a couple of healing items, or just play him long enough until you can get it so you can absolutely stomp him. And When I do cover the Data Org fights, which I will be doing, but not after this guide, guys, Kingdom Hearts going to go on a little bit of a break. I'm going to come back, hopefully, with a really destructive loop of that boss. And, yeah, thank you for watching. Good luck with that fight. You take care now.